What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Emphasis on Sports. As usual, I'm your host, Damon Anthony. We're going to kick it about sports. We're going to deep dive. We're going to do all of those little things, right? A lot of predictions. If I fuck up, I will say I fucked up. That's how I get down, right? So, anybody that's new, mess with us. Like, subscribe, follow us on socials, find us on streaming platforms. We're currently streaming everywhere that you can find us. So, look us up. Emphasis on sports. Solid outfit, I think, at least. Let's dive in. Let's get going with sports. All right. So, NBA action. We'll start with NBA action. We know that the in-season cup has been rolling. I don't know. I really haven't been that big into the games at all. I mean, I do live in Northeast Ohio, right outside of Cleveland. The Cavs have been having a really special year thus far. I know the Celtics are great. The Knicks seem to be coming together, as well as Milwaukee Bucks. Now, on the West to me is a lot more wide open. I don't think that there's any teams other than Oklahoma City that really sticks out there like that. But Oklahoma City does need a little help with Chet Holmgren being down. But there are some quality teams. Houston, Golden State actually is pretty decent. I know they just had a 5-game skid, but they're going so deep on their bench, getting everybody kind of ready for the whole season, that I think that's going to bode well for them as the season progresses. And we know Dallas is going to be there. We know Denver is really good. I'll tell you who's not. The Lakers. The Lakers do not look good at all. I think, you can kind of say whatever you want. You can call it coaching. You can call it the players. To me personally, I just think this is what happens when you let one of your players kind of run the organization. And sure, say what you want. LeBron may not be walking in saying, get this player, fire this guy, hire this guy, any of that. But we all know that most of their moves are done to keep the king happy. And that very rarely works out for a team, especially when said player is a little bit older, makes things a little tough. So the Lakers, they need to get some things together. They may have to trade some pieces, and they may just have to tell LeBron, deal with it. One of the biggest mistakes that I think the Lakers did in the offseason was drafting Bronny James. He doesn't help the team. He doesn't help the organization. You're literally just doing something to be nice to LeBron. It didn't help at all. Because now the kid's playing half these games in the G League, but he won't even get on the flights to play away games. That doesn't help the young man at all. And it hurts the organization because he's still a piece of your organization. Why would you draft someone that you know isn't ready? You know you're going to put in the G League from the professional top level. Why would you do that? Connect, Westside Connect. Great player to draft. But Bronny doesn't help you. You really just placated LeBron James for what? For what? But age is also going to catch up with LeBron a little bit. Father Time is undefeated. We all know that. But the NBA will keep slugging along. We know we have some Christmas games coming up in about 20 days. To be honest, some of those matchups look really, really good when the season came, when the schedule came out. They don't really look great now. Not all of them. I mean, you have teams like Philly who looks like trash. They look like absolute trash. But some of these matchups where they look great, the teams aren't there yet. I will tap a lot more into the NBA once February hits. That's when it seems to turn up. One of the main talking points about the NBA recently has been viewership has dropped, and a lot of people are blaming it on, pirating streams, all of this. As a lifelong NBA fan, as a lifelong sports fan, I'll tell you what the problem is. There's really not that much interest from the guys. There really isn't. You added in this cup in the middle of the season or early in the season to try and push the players a little more. Well, just let me tell you, it's not working. It's just not. As soon as teams really started accepting the whole, we're going to sit players, we're going to, just let guys rest, don't have to worry about games on a back-to-back, hey, let's shorten the league and all of that. It changes the want and the will of your players. When players know that they can sit out some games, when they know they don't have to be at it all the time and they can just kind of be average to above average until the playoffs, it affects the fans. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, the NFL, I could watch the NFL all the time throughout the whole season, and I'm going to have exciting games. Maybe not all of them, but I know that These guys are out there going at it and going hard. I know that. In the NBA, I just don't see it. I mean, I simply don't see it. So for me, why would I watch a game in December? How does that help me? Playoffs, when guys really truly care, that's when I'm locked in. So that's the problem with the NBA viewership. Not any of that other shit. I'm gonna be the first to say it. People can talk about how long the season is and all of that. Man, listen, the players that came before this era, 82 games and would play them. We want to compare LeBron to Michael Jordan. LeBron complains about too many back-to-backs and this, that, and the other. Mike played 82, and then he went to the playoffs, and then he crushed and won championships. What's the problem? What's the problem? I mean, the level of healthcare and doctors and all of these things that and the growth of medicine that these players have nowadays. I mean, also private plane, best first class accommodations, all of that. It's not what these guys are getting back in the day. It just wasn't. But they're playing 82 games and they're not crying about none of it. So when I hear any player right now say that the season is too long or there's too many back-to-back games, grow up. This is what you signed up for. This is what the NBA is. To me, it's like the NFL players say, man, we only need to play 12 games. What? What about the players that came before you? So that is why I think the NBA is just really lacking. The players don't care nearly as much as they do about regular season games, and we could tell. Anyone that understands basketball and is watching can tell wholeheartedly. All right. Let's move off of the NBA though. Let's talk about college football. Look, college football playoff, it's on the way. After this weekend, this is championship weekend. After this weekend, the field will be set. We'll know what all these games are. There's already been a lot of talk about matchups and things like that. A lot of these things I actually agree with, but just looking at the 12 teams that are quote unquote in right now, I'm just going to say very deserving teams, regardless of how they're ranked. I do like the top four: Oregon, Texas, SMU, Boise State. I do like that. Now, one thing that I am seeing that I'm coming to understand is the teams that play in the first round, the higher seed, those are going to be actual home games on their campus. The next round, the quarterfinals, those are going to be bowl games. So those top four teams, they don't actually have a home game. They don't get a home field advantage. They just get a bye. That's a little shaky. It's a little different, but at least they do get that bye, get that extra work, get some rest, and all of those things. Let's see how this weekend shakes out. I mean, I'm real interested to see where some of these teams move. I want to see the 13th and 14th ranked team. What happens with them? There's going to be an uproar from, I'm going to say, 3 to 4 groups of fans, regardless of how this works out. Regardless of how this works out, that's going to be there. But win games. If you can't win games, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. Simple as that. Anyone limping into this, I don't want to hear nothing. If you're sitting at 13 or 14 and you have 3-4 losses, and especially you have 2 bad ones, see you in a different full game. Just what it is. Teams that I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to react, what they're doing in the playoffs: Boise State, SMU, Indiana. Those 3 teams right there, those are the teams I really want to see. Boise State, I remember some years ago, Boise State had that nice run, did kind of the Statue of Liberty-esque play to knock off Oklahoma, which was awesome to see. But then, they kind of went away a little bit. They're back. SMU. For those of y'all that don't know about SMU, this was a team that was actually ridiculous for a while in the 80s. I mean, you had Eric Dickerson, you had some Hall of Famers and some players that went there. But then they were messing up with the money. And this is definitely when the whole NIL thing wasn't legal. And they got smacked and got the death penalty and got their whole football program banished for years. So seeing them get back to this level of prosperity is ridiculous to see. But the team that I'm actually looking forward to seeing the most is the Indiana Hoosiers. So any of these other teams that I could see in the top 12, at some point in my life, they've been good. Whether, I didn't know that they were good, because Lord knows when I was a little kid, I had no idea what an SMU was. at all. But never heard about Indiana being a good football school. Not competitively can possibly win a national championship football team, college football team. Right now, they're going to give people some trouble. They're going to give people some work. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I want to see who that first matchup is. I know right now it's speculated that it could be Georgia. That's going to be a hell of a game. Georgia doesn't look like the dominant team that we've seen in recent years. They look like a damn good team. Don't get it twisted. They just don't look like that dominant, damn, the Bulldogs are going to kill everybody type team. So that's going to be one that's going to be real fun to watch. So let's stay tuned and see how this weekend shakes out, because there's going to be some upset people, and I'm going to laugh at it, and I'm going to love it. All right. Let's talk about the NFL. So week 14 starts tonight with a hell of a game. You got the Green Bay Packers heading to Detroit to go play the Detroit Lions. Now, I've said before, said it again, I'll say it again. In my humble opinion, Detroit is the best team in the National Football League. This is a huge game because Green Bay, you got to win to shore up your position into the playoffs. Right now, they're sitting in third. They're going to come into this game and they're going to be ready to go rock 'em, sock 'em. I know it. But Detroit puts up points and they're at home. The line on this one is Detroit -3. No slight on the Packers at all, but give me Detroit. I think Detroit, the chip on their shoulder is almost as big as Ford Field. And they're coming out and they're doing two things that are impressive to me. When they find the weaker team, they beat the shit out of them. And then when they have to scrap and claw to win a game, they're doing that. When you put those two things together, you have a team that actually may go on a championship run. So Detroit is looking real solid. I mean, at this point, in a couple of weeks, I plan on going to Santa Clara and going to the Detroit Lions at the San Francisco 49er game. And listen, I mean, I don't think that we're going to sit here right now. I think Detroit's going to beat the shit out of us, but I want to beat them just to say that we did. Just to say, hey, you guys are good, but you lost to us 2 years in a row. I would love to see that. All right, so Packers versus Detroit. Give me Detroit minus that 3. All right, let's move on to Sunday. There's some ugly games. There are some ugly games on Sunday, right? First one up is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. Now, we do know that Jacksonville is without Trevor Lawrence after sustaining that hit last week. We know it's kind of a wrap for him on the season. Mac Jones is going to lead the guys into Tennessee against Will Levis, who to me is a stone cold bum. The line on this one is Tennessee -3.5. This could go either way. It really could. But I'm going to take Jacksonville. I think they're going to come in, they're going to put on, they're going to fight really hard, especially after Trevor Lawrence going down. I think, Mac Jones is going to have a so-so game. I just happen to think that Jacksonville's a little better than Tennessee. This game means nothing playoff-wise. Both of these teams will be watching the playoffs just like I will, not on the field. They may not be at home, but they aren't going to be on anybody's sideline. So, Jacksonville, Tennessee, give me Tennessee minus that, or give me Jacksonville plus the 3.5. Give me Jacksonville plus that 3.5. Next game up, New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. Current line on this one is Miami -5.5. They're playing in Miami. Give me Miami. The Jets are an absolute dumpster fire. Nothing about that team looks good at all. Not a damn thing. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, they're fighting for their playoff lives. They still have the chance, the opportunity to get in. What they have to do is continue to win. They're at home. They played a lot better brand of offensive football with Tua under center. Give me the Dolphins minus the 5.5. Then we have a game that's actually going to be really good, very entertaining. I'm looking forward to checking this one out just to see what shakes out, because it's been an interesting year for both of these teams. You got the Atlanta Falcons at the Minnesota Vikings. Current line on this one is Minnesota -5.5. Give me Atlanta. I like Minnesota to win. I just don't like them to cover that 5.5. Atlanta, they're on a rocky road right now. They're definitely on a rocky road. Kirk's turning that ball over. They still have an opportunity to win the NFC South. I think they're going to play a really good game. But on the other side of the field, the Minnesota Vikings, they're only one game behind the Lions. So it's not like they're out of the run-ins to win their division. They are a very good, sound team. They know how to win these games. They're not going out and killing everybody, but their record is their record. It's not like they're a bad team. They're at home. Minnesota's not an easy place to play. As soon as the fans start skull, 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 you know that it's about to go down. So give me Atlanta plus the 5.5, but give me Minnesota to win. I think Minnesota's going to win that. Next game up, we got the New Orleans Saints visiting the New York Football Giants. Line on this one is New Orleans -4. Give me New Orleans. I mean, the Giants, much like the Jets, dumpster fire. The Giants, horrible, don't look good at all. Nothing about the team. Malik Neighbors, you're going to be a stud as you go. I know some of their players have been playing well, but it's just not a good team. I don't think it's a well-run organization whatsoever. Now, the Saints, I don't think that they're that much better, to be honest with you, but I just like them better this week. I mean, you got Carr, you got Kamara. That's better. Those two players right there is better than what New York has on offense. It's better than what they have on offense. So give me New Orleans -4. Next game up, we're going to have the Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Current line on this one is Philly -12.5. And this one is tough. Philly, I believe, is going to win this game, but I like Carolina to cover. Give me Carolina plus the 12.5. I definitely think that Carolina is getting their feet under them. They're getting a little bit better. Not saying that they're world beaters, not saying, hey, they look like they're going to make this tremendous leap next year. Nothing like that. But Bryce Young, ever since he came back into the starting lineup, has played better football. No one can deny that. Does he look like an all-pro or anything like that? No. But he looks like a pro. This is going to help Carolina in the future. I don't believe that they have to go look for a quarterback. So Carolina's a little bit better of a team. They're playing harder. They're playing better football, especially with the new coach as the year goes. They look like they're playing more for him. Meanwhile, the Eagles, second best team in the NFC. Damn, Philadelphia Eagles are a good squad. They're a damn good squad. They're playing a lot better than we've seen last year or earlier this year. They have grown a lot. I'm loving the fact that they actually are handing the ball off to Saquon a little more. One thing that does irritate me about them, man, listen, inside that 2 yards, give the damn ball to Saquon Barkley. That's why you brought him here. Keep doing this shit with Jalen Hurts. It may not work out great. Give that ball to Saquon. Like I said, I like Philly to win this game. Give me the Panthers plus the 12.5. Moving right along. Got the Cleveland Browns going to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. Current line on this one, Pittsburgh -6.5. This one's another toughie. Listen, the Browns, even though I know they're not a good team at all, but you got Jameis back there. The dude is putting up ridiculous numbers two ways. He's throwing for a lot of yards. He's throwing for touchdowns, but he's also turning that ball over. Deliver me from pick sixes. One of the greatest lines that I've heard out of a football player. That being said, give me Pittsburgh -6.5. Pittsburgh is showing me week by week what they have become. Last year, a lot of people called for Mike Tomlin's head. We saw that their offense really looked one note because they weren't really moving the ball up the field. Enter Russell Wilson, who to me, it seems like he's found a home and he's found a coach that really appreciates him for the game that he plays. We are seeing Pittsburgh move the ball. We're seeing them throw the ball up and down the field, which is not something that we're used to. I have not seen this offense look this good since maybe 3 or 4 years before Ben retired. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they're going to cover this 6.5. This is just telling me they're going to win by a touchdown. I'll take it because I also think Jameis might turn that ball over late. Pittsburgh also, they lost to the Browns already, so they're going to walk in and they're going to want to show them what's what. All right. Then we're going to have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Current line on this one is Tampa -6.5. Give me Tampa. Raiders, not a good team. Max Crosby, he's not happy with all the losing. The only bright spot on the Raiders this year in totality, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, he's in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't want to hear nothing from anybody else. He may be, he's having the best tight end year out there. We're seeing guys with good moments. We're seeing this, that, and the other. But also remember, the Raiders have had a little bit of a quarterback carousel. They're still finding a way to get Brock the ball. This is a situation where you can spy and double and triple team this guy because nothing else there seems to work. And he's getting the ball. Now, on the other side of the field, Tampa, ever since Baker has been there, they just look like a solid football team. And where Atlanta continues to kind of blunder a little bit, Tampa knows how to win. They have good backfield. Also, Mike Evans is back, and he's chasing that 1,000-yard season. And I think Baker's going to try and deliver it to him. So give me Tampa minus this 6.5. Definitely. Then we're going to have a nice, good battle at the top of the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. Current line on this one is Arizona minus 2.5. Give me Arizona. Only taking them because they're at home. I know Seattle leads the division right now, but I think that this division is going to go down to the last week. Don't think San Francisco is going to have a chance to win it, but they're going to have something to do with it because they do have Arizona at the very end of the week. Seattle, solid squad, but I'm just going to take the home team here. Give me Arizona minus that 2.5. Then we have another game that I think is going to be very interesting and very entertaining to watch. Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. Current line on this one is Buffalo minus 3.5. Give me Buffalo. They're good. Period. They're good. To me, Buffalo is the best team in the AFC. If I'm going to rank them, I'm going to say Buffalo. I'm going to say Pittsburgh, then Kansas City, then Baltimore. I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers saying that, and I get that. Look, I know what Kansas City's record is. I know it. I see it. I talk about this shit every week with them. But I also know that a lot of these games could have and should have been a loss. They just weren't because Kansas City knows how to close the games. And if you don't hit the right spot in those last couple minutes, you're going to go down. But Buffalo, to me, is looking like a team that is ready. Just like I said with Detroit, how Detroit, to me, they're looking like a team that's ready for that next step and seriously to contend for a championship. Buffalo is looking like that. Buffalo, they just have to knock off Kansas City in the playoffs. Meanwhile, on the Rams are already getting ready for next year. We know that Stafford is going to throw the ball around the field. We know that they're going to try and match the point intensity. I just think Buffalo's a better team. So give me Buffalo minus 3.5. Now, here comes a moment that I was hoping I didn't have to say, didn't have to do. I started a little something at the beginning of the season. Did not think that I was going to have to put this on myself. Good people, good listeners to this podcast. This is the Nobody Cares Game of the Week. Week. The Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. Current line on this one is San Francisco minus 3.5. So when I started this Nobody Cares Game of the Week, it's because outside of the fan bases, nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's where these teams are right now. As I talked about some of these games, there are worse games that I could have talked about. But as a 49er fan, I hope every other 49er fan hears this and understands this. See you next season. Let's get ready for next season. Let's get ready for the draft. All of our guys that are injured, pinged up a little bit, take them off the field. Let's get everybody all the way healthy for next year because this ain't it. Even if somehow miraculously we make it to the playoffs, we're going to lose. Period. From the injuries to coaching decisions, not a good team. Just not a good team at all. Meanwhile, Chicago, also, not a good team. I have seen, a little progression here and there from Caleb Williams, but all in all, not a good team. Yes, they lost their coach. When your coach gets fired in sometime during the season, that means you're not a good team. I have one of my best friends in the world is a Chicago Bears fan. Outside of him and the good people in Chicago Bearland and me and the 49er faithful, no one cares about this game. No one. No one at all. If this game was scheduled at 8 o'clock on Sunday, it would have been flexed out 3 weeks ago. That being said, San Francisco, minus 3.5. Give me San Fran. San Fran's at home, lost a couple games, so get their feet back under them a little bit and just feel a little bit better. And they're playing against a team that's not good. San Francisco, minus that 3.5. Let's go Niners. 8 o'clock, Sunday night. Really solid divisional game. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to go visit the Kansas City Chiefs. Current line on this one is Kansas City -4. Give me the Chargers. Kansas City, being Kansas City, they will more than likely win this game at the end in some weird way, but that 4 is leaning me towards the Chargers. The Chargers have turned into a pretty stout, solid football team. Do I think that they're going to contend for a championship this year? Absolutely not. But I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a tough out. Harbaugh has got these guys believing in something bigger than themselves, and they're going to play a damn good game. I do believe Kansas City is going to scrape through somehow and win this game, but I don't think they're going to cover that 4. This is a field goal game waiting to happen. Give me the Chargers. Monday Night Football. This was close, real close to being a nobody cares game also. And I'm going to mention one of the reasons why at the end of this one. So, Cincinnati Bengals are visiting the Dallas Cowboys. Current line on this one, Cincy -5. Give me Cincy all day. Put some extra cheese on that, please. Cincinnati's going to walk in. They're playing really good offensive football. They're giving up a lot of points on the defense, but they're playing really, really solid offensive football. Dallas they're not going to be able to match point for point with them. That's just not going to happen. I think at some point we may see Trey Lance in this game. It's time to get him a little bit of work. Let's see what else he brings to the table and if they should keep him, or maybe they could, get some good tape on him and trade him. I don't know. But one of the reasons why I know this game could have been a nobody cares game, listen, y'all, this game is in Dallas. This game is at Jerry World. I'm looking at this right now. Tickets as low as $17. Good Lord, who would have ever thought that a Cowboys home game I could get into for less than a dub? Not me, not you. Cowboys, see you next year. I mean, I said that about the 49ers. See you next year. Also understand, when you're listening to this show, when you're watching this show, we're going to be unbiased. I have my teams. I'm a 49er fan. I'm a Dallas Maverick fan. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. Kind of undecided on hockey. College football, USC Trojans. College basketball, Arizona Wildcats. Those are my teams. Those are who I root for, but I can be very honest, very unbiased about them. That's why I said the 49ers are who they are right now. They're just not a really great team. You know what? Shit happens. I said earlier in this season, this team, to me, reminds me of the year after we lost that first Super Bowl to the Chiefs. Everybody got hurt. Just didn't have a good season. That shit's going to happen. There's never been an NFL team that goes to the playoffs and competes for a championship every single year of existence. So any 49er fans that have issue with it, get over it. Just get over it. See you next year. See you next year. We still got a lot of our players, and most everybody except for Trent Williams, in their prime. See you next year. All right? So we'll talk again after this weekend. Definitely got to talk about the college football weekend because the field of 12 will be set. Also in the NFL, some of these teams, they're going to lock up their division champion, their division leads. They're going to lock those up. Meanwhile, there's going to be a rash of teams that you're mathematically eliminated. Like, get out of here. See you next year. So we're going to catch up on all of that. We're going to talk about all of that. And we'll start talking a little bit of college basketball. Very early in the season for college basketball, but there has been some really good matchups. There's some really solid teams out there. Definitely can look ahead a little bit on that one. Now that with all of that out there, right? Be good or be good at it. Until next time, I will holler.